Hello, friends. This is Becky with Becky Budgets, and today is the last day of August, which means it's also my dad's birthday. So I've stayed on track, and I'm going to go ahead and do our closeout for August. Please note that the last time I filmed a video was actually back in May. So these amounts are going to be pretty big, but that being said, it's going to give us a baseline in order to kind of move forward. I always like to get started by closing out our previous month. So my income this month was $3,970. My husband's income was $3,365. We did get the $500 from my dad, which means that our total income was $7,835. And I'm going to just jump down here and put that down here. Moving down to our fixed expenses, rent came in for $2,457. Subscriptions were $139. I had miscalculated because of us paying for the Peloton now. Excel, which is our natural gas and electric, was $114. I don't know what I was trying to write there. T-Mobile was right on for $100. Xfinity was right on for $172. Allstate was $169. And then beginning of August was when we changed our dog's insurance. And actually, it's a payroll deduction now through my husband's employer. I'm going to see if we can get little Leo to stop crying. And Linus is going to want to get up now too. But when I add these values together, that equals $3,151. Let me add that one more time. I got a different value on my cheat sheet. Nope, it is $3,151. When we go to our variable expenses, we'll go ahead and fill them, because by the end of August, we actually were able to fill everything the way we're supposed to. Since we stayed on track with our variable expenses, our total stays the same, which is $1,175. Now, in this section is where things get a little different. Our credit card payments were actually $365. The Upstart loans were $1,652. Excuse me, Linus. We did not end up paying anything towards Advantage, and Citi did get those $61 extra. Come here, Linus. Okay, he doesn't want to get up. Therefore, when I add those three values together, we get a total of $2,078. Last but not least, it's our savings challenges. So we did put the money towards moving and Christmas, and then our sinking funds did get $650. When we add these values together, that gives us a total of $916. In order to find out what our total expenses are, we just add all the numbers next to the pink. So we've got 916 plus 2078 plus the 1175 and the 3151. And that gives us a total of $7,320. And when we take that away from our income, we actually brought in about $515 extra this month. Now, we did bring in a lot of extra money, and I'll go into it in a little bit. So this kind of got lost in that full total, but it is good to see that we did end up the month pretty well. Now, moving into the next section, which is my favorite part of the Budget Mom workbook, it is our closeout. So we've got our debt payment plan. If you notice here, our debts have significantly come down, and by the end of September, no, it'll be by the end of October, we're going to be down to only 4 debts, which is awesome. We ended up paying the money that was on the Discover. We paid off the Southwest. And then because according to our tax consultant, the money given back to us for the student loans or forgiven from the student loans is considered taxable, we added that onto our advantage here. So I hope that makes sense. Currently, we owe $41,686.89, and we have about $1,919.80 going out of our account every month for bills. So this number has started coming down. Now, I do have a question for you all right now. I went ahead and looked at when this balance transfer actually terms, and it doesn't term until December 12th of 2024. That being said, what would you all do? Would you continue paying the minimum that we've been paying on that and move on to paying off the Slate or the Freedom, since those have interest rates? Or would you go ahead and just pay off that balance transfer and see if we can transfer this balance later onto a different account? I'm curious to see, because I am not leaning in any direction, so I wanted to hear from you guys. Moving down to the total debt that was actually paid this month, it was $80,348.30, and that does include that Advantage amount. Last month, which wasn't actually last month, in June, our last total debt balance was $122,152.72. This month, we're at $41,686.89. which means that our total debt came down by $80,465.83, and 57.5% of our debt has gone away. Here on our overall debt progress, we start with the highest balance that we had when we started back in April of 2022. So we had $139,969.97 worth of debt. This month, we had that same value, which is the $41,686.89, which means that from the very beginning, we have paid off $98,283.08. And we've made an overall debt progress of about 70.2%. I hope that makes sense. Next, we move on to our monthly net tracker. What I saw on this sheet absolutely amazed me. So I was really happy with this $9,057.41 back in May, but today, our net worth came back for $118,343.15, which means that our net worth went up by $109,285.74. That's amazing. Now, this is all thanks to the fact that that Advantage or the student loan is off our debt. Taking a look at what percentage that is of the 9,000, it was 1,206.6%, which I haven't been paying too much attention to. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the monthly budget category breakdown. So on this sheet, I always look for the red. I notice here that our subscriptions were up by $10.25. It was because of the Peloton. And then to note, our debt got a payment of $78,315.50 more than what we had projected, which was those $227. Moving on to where our monthly debt savings broke down. In debt, we did pay a big amount, but it had to do with the debt forgiveness. Moving down over here, what I pay attention to is what got the most money from our debt. So if I look here, the one that got the most was actually the Southwest, which we closed. That took about 7.22%. And then after that, the Discover took about 1.71%. Those were two accounts that we closed with some reimbursement money that we got from the Department of Treasury. And then we moved down to these two Upstart loans, which are usually the top ones that get our money. So it was in compliance with that. And then the rest of our bills kind of came in the last places, which is what we usually like to see. Now, taking a look at our savings, I calculated this without the extra money that we got. So our inflow this month was $7,334.99, and $915 went towards savings, which means that we did save about 12.5%. And as you know, I like to keep it at about 10%, so that's perfect. Last but not least is our monthly comparison. On this page, I had to compare June and August because those were the only values that I actually had disposable. Therefore, I always look at the red. So our rent went up by $14.65. Our Excel went up by $14.56, which makes sense because our air conditioning got fixed in July. So here's where we paid for that influx. I'm surprised it was only $14.56. And then subscriptions from June until August went up by $37.67. That is completely what we've been paying. We've been paying more like $48 a month towards the Peloton, but I know exactly where that comes from. Now, one thing to note is that from June until August, we did bring in about $274 less. And there we are. We are at the end of our debt closeout. One thing I wanted to do was kind of show you where our debt is currently sitting. So here's our medical debt, which included the Discover and the City. And so far we have paid, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 20.5% of this medical bill has been paid off, which is awesome. Hopefully we'll get there as soon as possible if this is the next debt that we're going to attack. Now here comes the big mama. Now it looks a lot more colored in. That is because we only have one more payment of $940 left for that loan. That will be paid within 2 days, which means that our upstart number 1 will be saying goodbye forever. What I've decided to do is to start coloring these by row just to make it a little better on the eyes so that I can kind of calculate things a little better. So you are going to notice that I'm going to start filling these lines with the other loan until we get to that last payment. But I wanted to show you that. Last but certainly not least, I wanted to show you our current payoff dates. And this is going to make a lot more sense when I do our quarterly update. But these payoff dates show since the beginning of our journey where our debts or when our debts have been paid off. Currently, we only have these 1, 2, and 3 left. So we've got those 3 left. And I did already write in that September 2023 since it's only 2 days away. But I hope this all kind of makes sense. We had our first win in that snowball, April of 2022. The next time we paid off any debt was in February of 2023. So we had almost a year between our first debt knocked out and then our next 2. So those were knocked out February 2023. And then from February until August, which is what we're working with now, August has knocked out 3 of our debts. So we have the Advantage paid off, my husband's Southwest, and that residual medical that was on the Discover. In September, we're going to pay this 2023. And so then hopefully within the next year or so, we'll be able to pay these other debts off. Well, friends, I hope that this is testimony to the fact that budgeting actually does work. We would have never gotten to this point if we hadn't just buckled down, looked at our finances, and figured out where our money was going. Thank you so very much to each and every one of you who has been here since the beginning. It was amazing to us to see that student debt had been wiped out, and it was really a blessing. Anyways, my friends, I will be back back next with our week 1 paycheck update. I hope that each and every one of you has an amazing weekend. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.